This is the Tom Anderson Show, broadcasting live from the KVNT studios, 7 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday.
It is a pleasure to have my friend and retiring, not from public service, hopefully, but certainly from his current gig, Mayor Jim Matherly up in Fairbanks. And Jim, 3 years on the Fairbanks City Council, and then another 3 years, and then 3 years as mayor, and then another 3 years. You've never lost a race. You have been laureled as one of the greats in your capacity there in Fairbanks. I bet today you have some mixed emotions as you wrap up your tenure.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Tom. Yeah, thank you for that. You know, I've been so busy, just addressing different things and my current job that I'm kind of reflecting all weekend on it. And I spent the whole weekend at the Winter Expo up here, in Fairbanks, talking to folks, and so many people thanking me because they kind of knew it was coming tonight, and it really got me reflecting. And so many thank yous. It's been the joy of my life to serve my hometown. It's what I've dreamed about for a long, long time. So today, bittersweet, all the emotions come rushing back, but also a sense of pride, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, and you grew up there in Fairbanks. You're a hometown kid. Very different hats you wore as a city council member and as a mayor. What were the biggest differences when you segued over from the council to the mayor? I mean, being the executive, obviously different branches of government, but were there any really stark differences? Probably being the manager of, as the mayor of the community, big difference than being part of a group, correct?
I think the biggest challenge is when you're on the city council, it's funny. Okay, here's the thing. As a city councilman, we almost had more power than the mayor because we could obviously overrule the mayor or do those kinds of things, but we were not involved in day-to-day operations intimately, and we did nothing with HR. So boom, after I won my election to become mayor, it's shoes on the other foot. Now I'm in charge of 200 employees, right? And I'm involved in all the day-to-day. And now I'm sitting at a different level. That's why I think I took the right path, starting on the city council without shooting for the top job, because I really wanted to learn it better. And it made me much more rounded as a mayor by learning the beginnings of it. And it was a whole different gig. And I love the word that you said, gig, because that's what musicians say, and that's what I do. It was a whole different challenge, but I loved it even more than serving on the city council. It was just a great progression.
And is that something we look at folks that go from a city council position to a mayoral position, and then they maybe segue to a state house or state senate or congressional or gubernatorial or U.S. Senate. There's a lot of different areas. You're still young enough, man, to serve, and I know that's your passion and that's your interest. Those tools and that education and that experience really can take you anywhere, can it not? I don't care if it's a CEO of a business or a government affairs director. You really have covered, I mean, you're not going to be a judge. That's the third branch, but I'm sure at times you did have to judge on things and rule on matters. But as a city councilman, as a mayor, you really have, I mean, that's 12 years of experience. I'm impressed, and I know that from my friends in Fairbanks, I hear nothing but positive, and the sky's the limit for your future. But let's look back at what you accomplished. And I hate to park it into like 3 or 5 or 10 or 15 things because you've done so much, but what are a few that you would like to say, hey, everybody, it was an honor getting this through or preventing this or helping it, like we certainly had a pandemic. Well, what's on the list of things that you say, boy, I did okay there?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And the word okay is really applicable because you like to think you hit a 10 every time, and you don't. But that's not the point. The point is to make the steps. Even if it's 1, 2, or 3, then future mayors and future councils can run the ball further, right? So, homelessness and opioids have been huge on my mind during my entire time as mayor. And we've established a housing homeless coordinator for the city, which we still have today. In fact, the gentleman that was hired to direct that is now the chief of staff for the city, which was great. Great move for him, and then we brought someone else new in. And we also have what's called a Crisis Now program, where we can have mental health professionals integrated with the police department going on, certain calls, because we know that certain calls may not require intimate police force, right, but more of a mental health thing. So I'm really proud of those accomplishments, and we put a drug take-back box over at the police department, so you can bring your pills down there and dump those, because I think that opioids and drugs are a huge issue in the state. It's not a black or white or native issue. It doesn't discriminate.
It's not a poverty issue, is it? A lot of professionals are addicted to those. It's not just I hate to use the word bum, my word's not yours, but it's not the indigent person slinging dope. It could be a neighbor or a professional at one of our places of work.
Everywhere I share that message, I talk about my daughter who lives in that life, even to this day. As sad as that is, to be a father, to witness that, it's also made my message stronger, because I can absolutely relate to the pain, the agony, but also the ways to fight it, and it's coming from my heart. So I'd like to think those were really good. I also love the fact that we took the union contracts for the city that were on one-year cycles, many of them, and we were able to get them out to 2 years, less work overall, and more stability for the employees. We obviously can't make everyone happy. I learned early on I'm not pizza, so obviously I can't please everyone.
That's a great line.
Some people love anchovies, some people don't. However, if you go into it respectfully, you can make it work. And you're still going to frustrate people. I get it. But I had two ways to say no, Tom. And I learned this when I was a mortgage lender, because I was in banking for over 20 years too. I could look at Tom and say, Tom, that idea is crazy. Get out of here. I don't want to hear you. Or I could say, Tom, I see your point. I appreciate your tenacity, but I cannot see your point. I can't see a way to agree with you on this.
Meet you in the middle on that. That's a better approach, Mayor. That's a better approach for sure. And that's, I think, why people dug you so much, because they're like, hey, the guy's thoughtful and he'll at least listen to the other side.
Well, you don't have a choice. Think of politics as a rubber band. It's a pretty easy analogy for me. You've got extreme left pulling it really hard. You've got extreme right pulling it real hard. And it's going to snap, or the only way to loosen that rubber band is to come together toward the middle. I have had to be that way, because radical folks, I'm talking extreme radical people, don't make very good elected officials for the masses. No. You have to look at it in totality. So even during COVID, which was obviously a huge challenge for everybody, I was mayor for masked and unmasked, and for vaccinated and unvaccinated. So I carried those messages without a big freakout session, because they looked to leaders for some semblance of calm, really. And that's what I did every day. And I did constant video updates for the folks, and I encouraged masking, but never crammed it down on anybody, because we can't enforce it. And I didn't feel like I could tell adults how to live their lives, but I did encourage them to do it when uncomfortable. Plus, you can't get a better social distancing state than Alaska, for crying out loud. So I knew we weren't like sardines like in New York City. It was a much different gig up here. So those are some of the things I'm really proud of. I've heard
from teachers there. I've heard from nurses. I have friends, a physician up there. I've talked to people in the working trades, and all of them, if they knew you, sometimes we don't even know our mayors if you're just busy at work and life and family. The ones that said, yep, I'm aware of Jim Matherly. He's a good mayor. He's been engaged. I have nothing but positive things to say. Some of them know you personally and just think you're a kind intellect, which we need, and you're a good policymaker and executive, and those are great tools. And as you move on and hopefully move into the Juneau realm, I see good things in your future. I'm proud of you, and I know that the Fairbanksians feel the same. And I think that your grade, you're definitely in that A+ level because of how much you put the people first. And is that kind of in closing here? We know you have to bounce back to work, but I appreciate the fact that you called in. Would you say that's your claim to fame? You listen to the people and you have an open door?
Yeah, I'm a neighbor to this entire town. I'm just a neighbor. They like me. I love them. There's a big difference. And I frustrated some folks. I made some folks happy, but I listened. I was polite, returned every message. It's just simple communication. bring it down to that level, and you really can't lose.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 terms on the city council, 2 terms as mayor. Today is his last day as the mayor of Fairbanks, but guess what? It's not his last day in public service, and there'll be an election November 8th to determine if he becomes the state senator, which I hope he does. Mayor Jim Matherly, God bless you. Thank you for your service on this ride, and we look forward to many more ahead.
Tom, you too.
You betcha. That's Mayor Jim Matherly, his last day today. What a job. What a leader. Stay with us. Tom Anderson Show.